One other thing I've been thinking about is the fact that a lot more attorneys, at least it's been my perception, that a lot more attorneys are setting up as sole practitioners. And
Yeah.
I'm wondering about if you've noticed that as a trend that the statistics back up, and if so, what law students might look to be learning while they're in law school in terms of business skills to learn how to market themselves and set up a practice and things of that nature.
Yeah, so it's an empirical matter that's not true. Sorry to be mean, but as an empirical matter, it's a little bit it's way less prevalent than it used to be. Sorry, 200 years ago, everybody was a solo practitioner. Like Alexander Hamilton was a solo practitioner. Aaron Burr was a solo practitioner. Like there were no law firms, and there weren't any law firms until basically right before the Civil War. And those law firms were tiny, teeny, tiny little law firms. So now I'm going in the way, way, way back machine. So originally, every American lawyer was a solo practitioner. And then basically the percentage of solo practitioners in the private practice of law has stayed between 30 and 45%, period. And some of that'll fluctuate. So for example, you'll have students who graduate from law school, work at a firm for a little while, and then go out and hang up a shingle, or otherwise just go straight out to hanging up a shingle. The percentage of hanging up a shingle, as you can imagine, is actually economically driven more so than taste driven. So in those years, those really lean years, the 2008, it was really more like 9, 10, 11, 12, the bad years for employment, more people went out and hung out shingles than would have under other circumstances. And again, it's hard to measure because there are a bunch of people who work for a couple of years and then go out and do it. But yeah, that is in fact a choice that people make, and it's actually not necessarily a bad choice depending. Here's what I'll say about that. The old model of doing it, where you get an office and a secretary and print out a bunch of cards and buy a bunch of office furniture and stuff, is a disaster, and you can't do that. Like, it's not good business management at all. The new model version of doing it, where you don't have an office and you don't have a staff and you just take the business that comes in the door, is really, really, really pretty workable. There's a whole, I'm going to forget the name of it. There's a great software company, and I'm not recommending the software, I'm recommending the data. There's a software company that provides software basically for solo practitioners and for small firms. And I'm going to remember it by the end of the time I'm talking. And they gather the data and they anonymize the data, and then they publish the data. And they publish really interesting data. This is the billing function of the law firm. So as you can imagine, it's like, I don't know if these people are before becoming lawyers, but I promise you the most important thing is billing. And then even more important than that is getting paid for billing. Like, that's how you make the money. And also the funny thing about being a solo practitioner is it's not a complicated business. It's a really, really straightforward business. You do work and then you ask for money for it, and then you get paid for it, and that's it. You're not like creating a product. You don't have like a bunch of delivery dates or whatever else. Like, it's a really, really, really one-to-one. It's an old school thing. I mean, basically most solo practitioners in the US run on the same model that Alexander Hamilton and Burr did. They just work, count their hours, ask for money, get the money. And yeah, so this is the billing program for it. And they found that the average solo practitioner spends like 20% of their time on billable work, and the rest of their time on trying to get billable work or running their stupid business. That's not a good model at all. And technology is supposed to be the way that you fix that. And so if you were going to go to law school to do that, you should focus on that right from the very beginning. You should focus on all the ways that you can get as many people in the door who are going to pay you to do work, so that most of your time is spent on billable work. And actually, like, I'm a huge believer technology is the answer to that. And so for example, lots of lawyers are super worried, and it's fair to be worried about Rocket Lawyer or about LegalZoom. The answer to that is to compete with them, not to hide in your bed and be sad about it. And computerization is the way to compete with them. There's a bunch of expertise and individual service that lawyers can add on top of computerization, and that's, especially for the solo practice, like the Main Street lawyer part of the business, that's the answer to that.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.